I think what men have to realize too is that as you get older, your priorities change. When I was younger, no, I didn't give a fuck about how much money you made. I didn't care about how stable you were. I didn't care about, you know what I'm saying, like even if you was taking care of your kids. In 2010, you probably didn't have any,
Well,
right?
I'm not just talking about bread.
But
I
this
said
what I'm
servicemen.
that's what I'm saying though. I didn't even care what you could do for me because we was in a process of learning ourselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
But now that I'm 42 years old, absolutely what you can do for me matters because I'm out here doing for myself.
Yeah, but the very second a man says, "What can you do for me?" We're pieces of shit.
But this is where the disconnect is happening, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like at some point I have to just flat out like you, right?
Agreed.
But then you meet
Agreed.
somebody and they hit you with this list of what can you do for me, and it's a just turn off when you ain't even take time to even see if you liked me. You immediately like, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you? Can you? Can you? Can you? And I'm like, when the fuck did I sign up for a job?
Now, see that's wrong. I don't agree with that.
And that's what happens. So I'm not saying that men don't be on their fair share of bullshit, but that's the bullshit to be on the woman's
They
side.
It's the same way when women say, they don't like the question, what do you bring to the table? And they have, a litany of responses to throw out there. When you, it's the same, I guess it would be the same for us. When you come and say you have a list of things that a man has to do, he has to do these things A through Z. And like I said, we're not signing up for a job. Right? I don't, and this is something that we couch in saying these are my boundaries and my preferences, and this is what you're leading with. It's almost like as if you have no real dating acumen, and I've said that for a long time. Unfortunately, ladies, this one my sting. I don't think you don't really know how to date, right? I don't think you know how to date. I think you know how to attract a man, but I don't think you really know how to date. So before we continue on this one, let's hit the like button, comment, subscribe, share this video. Don't forget to turn on post notifications because sometimes you miss it, and therefore you won't miss the times when I randomly might go live, and those are notifications that also get silenced. Um, but back to what he was saying, I noticed where she didn't address when he pushed back, and with the initial pushback, she's saying, as you get your standards when you were younger were X, and then as you get older, they naturally change. That's fine. We get that, right? We get that, but it's always usually in a context. We hear it from the context of a woman that this is what she believes in. This is where she was this, and now she's this. You have to understand, even if we allow that change, the things that you attribute to grown men, the grown men you're saying that you are desirous of, what they wanted when they were younger also changes. As they grow and they learn and they have their experiences just the same as you, they have new wants, desires. When we're younger, yeah, we're almost blinded by lust. And then as you get older, you learn to manage that. That lust becomes less intrinsic. It becomes less of a dominating force as you've learned to cope with it throughout your life. To show a little nerd, it's like when you first become into a vampire and the thirst is all over. You can't help yourself. But as you get control of it, as you age, you understand, okay, there's a time and a place to unleash this thing. Now it's not. So now, in the part where I say women don't really have game or really don't understand how to date, is because you still think I'm the 16-year-old, right? I'm the 20-year-old. You still attribute that worse of behaviors to that guy, to the man I was in the past. You don't allow room that he can grow and change into someone who has his own desires, someone who has his own, yeah, this is good, this is bad for me. You don't allow that area of growth. So what actually happens is you don't really know us. And if you don't know us, you don't really know how to date us, right? You don't know how to attract past the physical. I don't know how to entice you with the softness. I don't know how to entice you with my femininity. I just know how to look good. I know myself and how what I change, what I want now out of life. But you don't allow that sort of growth for a man. So now that's the disconnect that you tried to say. That's the real disconnect. Not that you come with a list of things that you want. You're just not ready to hear when a man says, "Hey, what do you bring to the table?" That's him asking the same thing in a different way. You want these things. He's saying, "Tell me what you bring as well." For the things that you're saying you're wanting, I'm hearing them check, 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 check. Now I'm asking you, what are you bringing to commiserate that? maybe it would be a better conversation if men talked in the same sort of language. And he said, you have to be these things, right? And just hit you with the litany of them. But remember, we tried that, right? Kevin Samuels was famously said, you got fit, feminine, friendly. And look about that. You can see the video after video after video after video after backlash about that. Just the fit part, just the fit part to learn. Even when just not too long ago, a couple months ago, when there was that movement where it was saying like, hey, a guy was saying he went out and all the sisters that he saw there were fat. And then there was this big, big pushback. And we got all these reasons why women's weight was none of our concern, none of our business, or the reasons behind the weight. Not hearing the say, okay, men are saying this is what they want. If I want those men, let me now do the things that I can do to attract that. The conversation is usually about how a man has to change, or he has to be, it's essentially a man has to change these things about him in order to qualify for you. But you never really hear the reciprocal in saying, I'm listening to what men are saying that they want. And part of that's our fault, right? Because we're not really clear about that. We think it's part of the thing where I'd rather not talk about it because I don't want to be in that drag down fight over it. I know we're presumptuous in thinking that we know how these things are going to go, so we don't engage in fight. I know it's going to get down to where we're just screaming at each other or no one is listening, and at the end of the day, I'm still going to have to apologize in order to make anything sort of happen. So I don't fight. I just say I keep quiet or hope that it goes away, and I keep, trying to keep the peace. I'm more interested in the peace rather than what it takes to get there. But I'm digressing. When men aren't clear about what they want from women, they're left to insinuate from what they've known. I know for a fact that y'all love to have sex. I know that for a fact, right? I've also heard that a way to a man is through his stomach. So I kind of know that, right? And everything else I can fit in. I can put in what I've pieced together here, here, here. But because I don't really get any real data from men, what I'm left with is what I have. And we all know that what women have in that sort of arena, it's insufficient. Not for a real conducive relationship, not for real understanding of, hey, this is kind of how men are. This is how they operate. We continue to say, well, men are simple. Great. We have to exhibit that consistency all the time, though. We have to exhibit that consistency, and then also with that consistency comes consequences for when those barriers, those boundaries are sort of broken or passed through or stepped on. We don't do that. That's the change in this conversation that we really should be looking to have. But you can't expect, because you were younger, you had different desires or different things then. Now, as you get older, now you want more. And this is back to her conversation. This is what men often have issue with. You want more, but to him, your value has decreased. And whether or not you believe it, whether or not you agree with that, he is now the consumer. He's the customer, just like you are the consumer and customer of that man. If you're saying this is why men are saying that they get better with age, it's because the customer appreciates the values or the things that that aged man can bring in comparison to the younger one. You guys set the customer setting essentially, the price by agreeing to pay it, right? We know you go into the grocery store and milk is $3.29, just for instance, right? Okay, that's today, but if tomorrow it's $7.29 and no one buys it, the price goes back down to $3.29, or it goes back to something that we believe is more manageable. That's how it's supposed to be. What we have is the price is $3.29, men come in and buy, then the price is $7.29. Some men come and buy, some kind of open it up. They walk around with the milk, they drink a little bit, they put it back on the shelf. But the time it was off the shelf, right, the store owner thinks it was sold. So the price stays the same until it snowballs into this. Well, you've got a lot of open milk on your shelf. You got no real consumers, but this difference in time is 25 years. So now we're getting to the place where our cohort, where we're aging out, we're hitting our 40s, our 30s and 40s and 50s. And now some of us are starting to realize the truth. You can ask for whatever you want when you're younger, but as you get older, as your desires become increase, you have to look and say, am I as desirous as I was back at that time? When I was at my highest value, my highest peak, according to the market, that's when I should have set my price at 729. But I set my price cheap because I wasn't ready to be taken off the shelf. Now we've messed up the game. We've messed up the market. We messed up the play. So now we're in the place where people are trying to randomly set their price and it's not really happening. Guys, let me know what you think on this one. This one's kind of interesting.